very much, Mayor, for that. Herning is just buildings. Without you, the students, and without the staff that's standing up there and help got you there, and without your families to support you. And before introducing the next speaker, I think we just owe them a round of applause. You read a lot about Aarhus University sometimes in the newspaper. Aarhus University is a great place to be. Ask any of the staff here. We're doing our best here every day for you guys, and we don't let whatever background noise that disturbs us disturb our day. Remember that whenever you hear from one person, there's always another person with another side of the story. It's an honor and pleasure to introduce George Maxim. He's going to be a civil engineer today, and as a civil engineer myself, I'm always pleased to meet other coming civil engineers. And George has actually taken the time to interview me a couple of times in his project, and so it's a real honor and pleasure to have him be our student celebratory speaker on his graduation. George?
Thank you for this amazing honor. I'd like to thank the Academy, the wonderful cast and crew, the director. Oh wait, sorry, my bad. I was saving this speech for another occasion. Okay, here we are. It's a good side, esteemed professors, fortunate graduates, and excited family and friends. Undskyld, men jag tror jag helst hävdade än min dans. So I'll keep it in English. Now, when Herman called me and told me about this great honor, I thought to myself, no problem, I'll YouTube the commencement speech given by Steve Jobs, take a few notes, and incrementally innovate into 2012. But as I was watching it, I realized a couple of things. First of all, both 2005 and Steve Jobs are dead for some time now. So, second of all, I know Steve Jobs. Way to go, Sherlock, it took me a while to figure that one out. And third of all, and most importantly, I'm 27. I'm in no position whatsoever to give life lessons to anyone about anything since I just finished 2 decades of being in school. So I twisted on my turn and finally I decided I would do something different. Alicia, who worked with me on 2 projects and the master thesis, and for me that is the whole definition of Buddhist endurance, is just about ready to call the Benjamin police on me. I hope she won't. And Olive Reese, our great supervisor, did the right thing and showed me a yellow card for writing a boring section on the literature into my master thesis. So I tried really hard to make this one something better. So now I would like all of us who are graduating to ask ourselves a very simple question. What kind of world would I want to live in and be for my kids' graduation? The reason I want to ask this is based on a recent article I read on the BBC website by my favorite historian, Professor Niall Ferguson. He quotes Edmund Burke, who says, "Society is indeed a contract. The state is a partnership not only between those who are living, but between those who are living, those who are dead, and those who are yet to be born." And then Professor Ferguson adds, "In this enormous intergenerational transfers implied by current fiscal policies, we see a shocking and perhaps unparalleled breach of exactly that partnership." Also, in a speech this year, Professor Ferguson argued that the U.S. is not only the rule of law, but lawyers, imagine that, who seek ever more opaque legal frameworks to exploit, and that the problems of Europe are not the debts which are but a symptom, but the constant systemic failures of the institutions who are supposed to guard or decisively act against such situations. I know it sounds bad, so I'll cheer you up in a minute. So when it comes for our turn to pass on the baton, what would we say and leave behind us? I would take my child back to the basics which we all have seen to forgotten. I would tell my child that we had to learn the hard way what we forgot, that there are no free rides, that everything comes with a price tag, with someone's name on it, and a that nothing truly worthwhile doesn't come without hard work, self-discipline, and self-education, and being responsible for yourself and your future. I would tell him that his achievements, his culture, his worldview made him special, not his mere existence. That success, respect, wealth, maturity, and happiness should not and will not be granted, but they must be earned. And hardest of all, I would try to teach him to do the right thing, not the easy one. Now, after spending 2 years living abroad in the Nordic countries, I realized that I have a lot to be grateful for. First and foremost, I have to be grateful for my family. They could not be here because of their never-ending work schedule, but due to their sacrifices, I am one of the very fortunate 10% of all Romanian students who end up to study abroad. It was all a dream, as John Curtis the idea would have said. But I remember that my grandparents made sacrifices in order for my parents to have better opportunities. My parents did the same for me. That was, to me, the greatest personal motivator to make all these efforts worthwhile and make my parents proud of what I have achieved. And I hope I'll be able to do that also for my children. I am very grateful for the teaching staff who had to fight weekly battles with Facebook and 9Gag for our attention. I know it's not that easy because some of you are logging in as I speak. To Torben and Mette, who got to share knowledge and relief every time you manage to submit on time a report or pass an exam. I know it's very hard to keep track of one person's progress, let alone 30, and counting each year. To the wonderful staff of CEDU, or EDE as it is called now, Carsten, Klaus, Herning, Ulrich, Anders, Charlotte, and everyone else. You are the only Danish organization that took a chance with me, and I sincerely hope you will allow again young international students to come in every semester and tell you and everyone else how wrong you are. And of course, I'm sure Alicia will agree with me on this one, to Frank Ostergaard and the staff of Vestas, or the remaining staff of Vestas, who gave us such perfect data and worked with us so well on our masterpieces. But for my personal evolution, I am most grateful to put in balance two quite opposite cultures and systems, the Eastern European one and the Northern one. I came to appreciate, and to be completely honest, be just a bit envious, of the stability and reliability I have found here, from the buses which run on time to the administrative, judicial, and educational systems, which are as streamlined as possible and with little to no corruption in them. Now, I was fortunate enough to experience both the downfall of communism and the painful and never-ending transition toward what I call almost capitalism and almost democracy. Living in such a climate makes it quite hard for your future, and the necessity to put yourself in a loud and dynamic society where community health is hard to come by. It makes you cut corners, grab every opportunity, and fight on very hard with quiet resilience. It can make you a bit of a pessimist and a cynical person sometimes. I'll admit that. So coming here, I was struck by the feeling of easygoing, of how it is so nice to wait for the state to provide because you become a bit afraid to take chances and fail, or you become too comfortable in the knowledge that your future is assured. If there is anything that life has taught me up to now, is that there are no such guarantees. And to me, that idea of just standing and waiting to be helped is so foreign that I would rather be stressed out than working as an intern or a graduate on a crappy salary than relaxing on hefty unemployment benefits. But now finding a job is such a twisted process, which is less based on merit and performance, and more about popularity contest where you want to please your boss and have great debt. My theory is that we became so obsessed with being creative and careful with all the emotional and political sides that we forgot the plain merits of hard work. Maybe it's because of this that on average the South Korean worker works 1,000 hours more per year than a German one, and that's why probably my car, half of the phones, and the electric appliances we all have come from that country. But why not? When I first met Michael, he asked me if we were excited about graduating and continuing with our international careers. And I replied, yes, I'm very excited to end up in the employment. Haha, no, really. Well, this month I just passed the first 100 rejection letters I received, and I heard it takes around 400 until you get a job. So I have to get back to you, Michael, on that one. I'm really excited. So, and the ultimate irony for me came when studying the graduate guide given here, which has all these wonderful tips and tricks about the interview, the CV, and all the other processes. And just at the very end, they had a study which showed that within the first year after graduation, half of the international students leave Denmark because they couldn't find jobs. And unfortunately, I completely myself in that category. And in 3 years' time, that figure shrinks down to a third. So it's a bit kind of like that Confucian proverb that says, if you give a man a fish, you will feed him for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, you will feed him for a lifetime. Well, after we've been taught so nicely how to fish, we realize that there aren't that many fishes left in the pond. But we're working on it. And I do believe in Malcolm X's words that there is no better than adversity. That every defeat, every heartbreak, every loss contains its own seed, its own lesson on how to improve your performance the next time. And that education is the next best course for the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. And now, in these times of trouble, I watch how and feel how all preconceptions and prejudices rise again based on ignorance, intolerance, and a sensationalist media all across Europe. To quote the great modern-day philosopher, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. I was definitely telling my child about my international friend who tried so hard to get into a large company, and when she finally did, she got hurt and spat on at a bus stop by drunk locals who kept shouting she should go home and stop stealing jobs. And what is most hurtful, that none of the local bystanders even raise a finger or a voice to stop such blaming injustice. But I do not seek to blame or victimize any category, because it is not about categories. It is about people, individual people with individual actions who set examples, good or bad. But I find something very wrong in the world, in the way the world works today, that it's most likely I will end up on the news for doing something wrong than for doing something right. Not exceptional, just right, day in and day out. But getting back, I think we can make some generalizations or a more human level. We, Nordic and international students, all agree that it's great to live in a country where beer is cheaper than cola and mineral water. We all agree that the weather around here could use some improvements. And finally, we agree that Danish is not the easiest language to learn, but take my word for it, Swedish is a lot harder. To my surprise, I found out that there are 3 essential words that are pronounced and written exactly in Danish as it is in Romanian. These 3 words are vin, gratis, and tris. So the next time you want to start a conversation with any of us, just go, tris, vin gratis. And I guarantee you'll get a great result. Yet we have our irreconcilable differences. The use of licorice as a dessert. We will never get that. The unbridgeable gap between the Danes who love putting salad and mayonnaise on our pizza, on their pizzas, and we love doing ketchup. And we both end up looking at each other like, that's so weird. And finally, the temperature when it begins to get hot outside. For you it's around 18 to 20, for us it begins around 3. So I would like to give my child one last lesson about how deep down, after all the sensationalism and subjectivism is gone, we are all pretty much in the same boat, and if we don't pull together, we will sink together. Karl Popper, the Austrian philosopher, once said, I might be wrong and you might be right, but working together we can come closer to the truth. My truth at 27 is that there is no perfect system, that there is no perfect person, and that there is no universal recipe for happiness with the notable exception of life. I am not here to persuade you to like or share my answer or my truth. In fact, yours might be exactly the opposite. Even so, I challenge you to find your answer because you must have one ready. I don't know if I'll ever get to use that Oscar speech, probably not. But even so, I am quite certain that there will come a time when we have to talk to our kids about what kind of view of world we have for them. And if we don't have a good explanation, I fear that all we have done and will do from this point forward up until then will be in vain. So have your answer ready and remember to buy some ice cream for your kid. I guarantee you will make the moment a whole lot better. It's been serious, it's been fun, and most of the time it's been seriously fun. So thank you for your time, your patience, and all the life lessons I received. Thank you.